The Hedgeless Swordsman here with a quick update on Irving Resources in light of the recent news release. Title was Irving Resources resumes drilling at OME and updates drilling at OME Sinter. So first of all, they state that they just colored the first follow-up hole at OME mine site, and they will be drilling close to hole 10, which hit 21 different veins, and the bottom part of the hole clipped is believed to have clipped the boiling zone, and we can have a we're probably not into the guts of the boiling zone, and the boiling zone could continue for a few hundred meters. So I mean, we're at an early stage here, and we already hit 21 veins. So obviously, OME looks red hot from exploration potential standpoint, and so we're back to drilling there. Thankfully, Irving is able to continue exploration work, drilling basically. Meanwhile, most exploration companies don't have that luxury. And then we learned that they had completed 4 holes at OME Sinter. Hole 1 for this field season here, hole 2, hole 3, and hole 4. And as you can see, hole 1 here was real close to hole 2 from last field season. I think this was partly to get to learn more about the orientation of the vein, because if you're gonna try to hit a particular vein at depth, given that these holes are obviously quite expensive, you really want to you want to have an estimation of where you think you would have to drill in order to hit the vein at targeted depth. So it looks like, this is suggesting that the vein goes something like this. So this hole 4 should be able to hit that vein, and they thankfully stated that they hit veins at or near the expected start of the boiling zone. So I'm looking forward to what the assays will be from this. Again, I'm not expecting kilogram per ton, and we don't need it. This is good stuff already. And again, these numbers don't include the value of the actual silica from the veins and the host rocks or the surrounding rocks. So assuming $50 to $100 per ton for silica, we could add 1 to 2 grams per ton of gold equivalent, basically. So the numbers are actually quite better than they seem, because they don't factor in the silica content, which is a big part of the actual business plan. And again, there's a reason Newmont joined in and topped off their holdings recently at $3.76 per share. And there's a reason why we have an MOU with Sumitomo Corporation. They obviously get it. And then we have hole 2 here. Unfortunately, this completely missed the interpreted structure, basically. It went straight into what is assumed to be barren rock, judging by the CSAMT service. But thankfully, we clipped this possible feeder here at shallow depths, and sure enough, 23 meters of 0.76 grams per ton and almost 20 grams per ton silver, which again does not include the value of the silica, which is 1 to 2 grams per ton of gold equivalent. Again, which I've talked about before in previous videos, these low sulfidation epithermal systems are pretty much expected to be barren outside the boiling zone. So again, to have these kind of numbers at surface, that obviously suggests this is a very robust system, because there's plenty of gold and silver left even when the fluids reaches the top of the system. So that speaks, that's promising. And hole 3 here did not intersect any significant values, but it intersected silicified rocks basically through the entire length, which means that all the rocks here would have been impregnated by hydrothermal solutions. So I don't know if this is obviously a wildcat hole, because it's not really a long strike here, so maybe they believe the system would be offset, or if they're targeting a different trend, because we shouldn't forget that we've basically only been drill testing this trend, and according to CSAMT, there's 4 possible feeder structures basically. So in this forest, we will only really tested, at least if I'm not mistaken, we've only really tested this trend here, and we've not even had one assay from the boiling zone yet, or where the expected boiling zone is. So again, 1 out of 4 trees, we're not even into the treasure chest yet, which is the area where most of these low sulfidation epithermal system actually hosts a deposit. Normal systems, you're not expected to get hits like this far above the boiling system in the boiling zone in normal systems. So anyway, hole 2, even though it only clipped the top, it's approximately 200 meters to the south from the hole 8 drilled last year. So we basically have added on 200 meters of additional strike. And again, I don't know exactly what they were targeting with this hole, but we were already up to about a kilometer or so, I think, in strike length from one of these trends among 4. And they've stated they're going to do a lot of exploration this year. Obviously, it's quite obvious that there's going to be a lot of focus on Hokuriu, which looks to be, just based on the CSAMT readings, this might be, the most exciting of the targets out of the 3, which is quite remarkable given the results from Omi mine site, and that we're already up to 1 kilometer of strike in one of the trees at Omi Center. So I was quite happy to see a smallish negative reaction today to the news release, because there was only one hole that actually reached the targeted depth at the right orientation, if you know what I mean, and that would be hole 4 here, and that's the hole we haven't received the assays from yet. So I don't know how you can interpret this to be bad, or at least I get it that impatient people, the hot money that are in for the assay results, etc., but there's no way in hell that the value of Irving, all their projects, and for Omu alone would be 10% lower just based on this news release, because this news release is actually pretty good, and it might get even better. Anyway, I'm biased, I'm long. Irving is my second largest position, and I've been adding today. Do your own due diligence. Never invest more than you can afford to lose. Thanks for listening. Bye.